One of these fools said we could swap an engine in a 64 Wagon in an hour and a half.
Not we, you.
You. So we got what we believe is a 262 out of the 59 Ford grain truck. I say that because it's got the C3 casting on the side. That means it was built in 63, so it's newer, and the 262s were built then. And it's got a little bit different valve cover, so I don't know. Whatever. We eyeballed it. It's gonna fit.
It will.
So let's get after it. Hour and a half. 9:12. So 10:42.
42.
Let's say 11.
12 math.
Let's round it up to 11.
We'll go to 11 so that we got some sandwich breaks in there. Union mandated. What do you think, Duff? You gonna just hang out with Avery here and do things that are completely inappropriate for YouTube? All right, let's get after this. Duff, open that hood. Got it.
Take the hood off.
I'll take the starter off because I'm good at those. Don't ruin the radiator hoses. We don't have any spare flex hoses.
Well, you'll get what you get.
And you'll be happy with it.
You'll love it.
Mortke's making all the money, getting a new gold chain, he's blinging.
I pity the fool.
Pity the fool!
I pity the fool.
I pity the fool.
I'm assuming we're sandblasting and painting these.
Yeah. Just make the noise.
You have the bolts? Aren't they the same?
Huh?
They're not the same flywheel?
No, the other one's got like a 12-inch clutch and this has got an 11.
Oh.
And then it's fine spline versus coarse spline. God, how are we gonna resurface that?
Real easy. Get a grinding disc on it.
DA.
Yeah. Anything. Yeah.
Where's the hole? I think it would be. I don't know if that matters, but I don't want to find it the hard way.
Isn't that how you do things around here?
The hard way?
We do everything the hard way?
Is there another way?
Yeah, probably not.
These things can't be. Are you supposed to have a staggered bolt pattern?
I think so, yeah.
Only go on one way? Oh, for Ford's sake.
With the French toast.
Why Ford is superior? We're 262 this time around.
Oh, we're gonna break everything now.
Yeah.
New joints, drive shaft.
You know, putting a stroker motor in a 60 Ford wagon. Nobody said it was easy.
What'd you do on your vacation? We hot rodded a 64 wagon just cuz.
With a grain truck engine. Hey, did you want to put a new pilot bearing in?
Oh,
It's like new.
no, it's nice and shiny.
You got a hammer to tap it back in?
Do I have a hammer? Aren't we in your house? Oh! The valve tapping in.
The valve adjuster, you mean?
Yep.
Valve loosening tool. That's the problem solver and creator.
Oh,
That one feels good.
that one feels good and tight.
The other half, just because I'm an elf. Your life sucks. You work your ass off all year. to help this fat guy in a red suit. Nice and easy, cowboy.
Trying.
There, we caught. I mean, it's.
Are we on the teeth on the flywheel?
Oh, your cherry picker's ahead all the way. Hit the bumper. In there.
Well, we have a small gap at the top and we've got a huge gap at the bottom, so we gotta straighten back out somehow. Either the transmission has to go up or the back of the engine has to go. I gotta clean my work area. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't work in conditions like this.
Right? Better be getting hazard pay.
I think so. OSHA! Where are you at?
We got probably like 10 minutes.
This isn't looking good.
Only 10 bolts away. 12 bolts away.
Did it have to be running or just installed?
Just installed. So 12 bolts away.
I would say just get them started. I think it's tighter at the top than it is at the bottom. Do you agree?
Yep, no.
I say, should we go down with the cherry picker just
It's tighter on the
just
bottom.
a bit?
It's tighter down here on mine than it is up at your bolt. There's a
Down
smaller
for-
gap
down
than
for
there is up
ratchets,
here.
right
From where I'm at.
I take the ratchets from it or whatever loose.
Because it's clearly crooked in there right now. Because I got almost no teeth showing on my side, and you have all of your teeth plus a gap over on your side. Which just disappeared.
Hercules, Hercules! Hercules, Hercules, Hercules!
We're not even engaging the teeth.
Yeah, what the fuck? With the French toast. No compression stroke.
Hold on.
I'll try it forward.
Maybe it's engaged.
I was thinking it.
Hey, put it in
Because
gear cars.
it's spun easy. When I was down there just behind it.
Okay.
Yep.
What the?
French toast has been engaged.
Done! Call it!
1046.
Yes!
Yeah!
Ship it.
Calls for a sandwich.
Let's leave those in, Carson.
I was going to tighten them so we could pull it together and then we could put the rest of
I
it
think
in.
they're way too long. Oh, that's a
Oh, are
blind
they?
hole. Yeah. Was there a pretty long one on the bottom, or are they all the same length?
Remember I spent 45 minutes taking the radiator apart, so I didn't have anything to do with this. That's all on you guys.
Somebody had issues.
Can you get it to come back? Oh boy.
You just let me know where you want it. I'll put it there.
That's what she said.
There we go. I should just wet.
Okay, well you get your side then, if you can. There.
Why did he yell at me all the time? Very sensitive.
This ain't the place to be. Don't worry, Gerda. We're just washing water.
It's going directly into the recycling center.
Yes. Any contaminants will be filtered out.
How dare you?
I took an EPA test once. I almost passed.
Getting any better?
it gets a tiny bit better, and then it goes back away again.
Floor jack just a bit.
I don't think the floor jack's doing it.
Oh, it's
You think it's got it? What if we jack it up? Jack the transmission up? Because the top's tight.
Your side's tight.
Hold on. Watch what he.
Yeah.
Making a difference. That's just turning everything.
Everything's spinning. There it went. There it went. There it went. There it went.
You're welcome. Fast forward service, that's your service.
Thanks, Bob.
I just needed some music.
Push it in again. Boy, look at the belt. You looked at this?
Don't even look. Just don't look at it. It's like a
There's no way
small
it's gonna
child
stay on.
crying. Just don't look at him.
It'll fix itself.
All right, so we're back on the 60. Couldn't really show you a whole lot of content from last night. Welcome back. What were you doing? Out for a quick jog? Yeah, better get a drink. So anyway, between the colorful language, the adult beverages, camera issues, we just weren't able to really show you much of what happened last night. But I will tell you, I don't know if it's on the footage or not. It was just after midnight, so 2.5-ish hours. We did get this thing running. And believe it or not, this thing's got exhaust coming all the way out the back. And that was all the rust that was in there. Of course, we did not have a camera set up for that. Did we, Duff? Big shout out to the Elf from Guelph and Nevi for banging this thing out, talking me into doing it. I did not want to do this, been dreading it, but we got a 59 Ford truck engine wedged into a 60 Ford Wagon. So we did have to change a couple things. The reason we did is because, if you can see this, because it says C3AE down here, so that's a 63 engine. So I'm pretty sure that this is a 262 engine. That was a 59 truck. I think this 262 engine was from 61 to 64, something like that. We had to change the flywheel in the back because it had like a 13-inch clutch, and this has got like a 10-inch clutch. So we had to change the clutch, the flywheel, and then this is fine spline. Truck was coarse spline. The engine mounts on the truck were up front. Mid-engine mounts on here. One thing that we do need to address is the throttle linkage on this is at a terrible angle, and she's super sloppy. So there's quite a bit more robust of a throttle linkage design on the car manifold, so hopefully we can swap that all over. The exhaust bolted right up, that's pretty sweet. The carb bowl is leaking profusely, so hopefully we can find a gasket for that, try to seal that up. We went to the smaller fan from the car. The radiator was just an absolute debacle to get out. Going back in was a little bit better, but these are a terrible design. Petcock tight? Yep, oh, maybe, I don't know. Still gotta wire up our GM alternator, but the voltage regulator is missing, and this is an internally regulated GM alternator, so I think all we gotta do is send a signal wire from the ignition switch so that it tells it to excite it, and then run a wire over to our battery. We gotta change the thermostat housing, and there's an issue there. This one is cast iron, points straight up. The car one points over this way and it's got that ugly reservoir expansion tank, and the bracket is busted off of it. I wonder what we did with that. Anywho, there's no way to fill this thing without that expansion tank because that's where Ford put the radiator cap. I don't know. So we could either put an inline one or we got to make that work. The thing with that is there's supposed to be a 5/8 heater hose on the edge here. Well, that was just all rotted off. So what I did was took a steel slug, pounded it in there, and then JB welded over the top. I haven't used JB weld in like 10 or 15 years. So hopefully that seals it. Shout out to the guy who sent us the JB weld. I mean, if it works. You can see that's about how it should sit. It's gonna be about 45 degrees different than what that one is. And then we'll have to plug off that lower heater hose. And we're not gonna have a heater, which is fine. The ignition switch does not turn. The brake fluid reservoir is empty. Surprise, surprise. So we gotta get brakes working. We're getting there. And then of course we'll have to put a boat tank inside. But this thing does run. So that's pretty awesome. Gotta see what else is on my cheat sheet. That's about it. We pretty much touched base on it all. Long list of items to address. Oh, I did put a breather cap on the valve cover because the soup can was gonna hit the hood and it wasn't awesome. And of course it's different between this engine and the 223 we pulled out, so I had to dig through my stash, put that on there. So yeah, let's put that thermostat housing on, get the heater hose scenario wrapped up. I know everybody just wants me to just run a big silly flexi hose from there to there and then maybe an inline filler, but we're gonna try to use what we got, not spend any money, because I did find one of these used on eBay, but it's like 50 bucks. So we're gonna see if that works first. All right, let's get after it. So we can wrap this car up and maybe finally move on with our lives, because I'm sick of 60 Ford wagons. Not gonna lie, you know, when you start working on something, you fall in love with it again. No, never really was in love with this car. Well, before I bought it, until I got it on the trailer and ripped the control arm off, I kind of liked it. Not so much anymore. Duff's over it as well. Here we go. Shout out to the guys that helped me thrash this thing in, but they're not here to do all the fine details. Quitters. So here you can see the linkage that was on the car engine. Look at that cross shaft bolt. It's a 1/2 inch bolt, and this is like maybe 3/16 pin. And she's worn out. This thing is pretty tight yet. Probably because it's got that huge bushing in the middle. And it's in double shear versus single shear. So we're gonna take this bracket off, and I'm hoping that behind that 1/4 inch bolt, there's a nice big hole, otherwise we're gonna have to ream it out. Come on, Ford, make it easy on us. Well, the old Ford pulled through on us. It did have a 1/2 inch hole back here, and you'd see just how much more robust the car design is compared to the truck. Who'd have thunk? The thing is, the geometry isn't quite the same. This rod here doesn't go quite as far ahead, and we didn't have the carburetor or any of that throttle linkage off that car, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit of work here to make that work. But yeah, this is gonna be a lot better once we get her dialed in. So let's get this old one off and out of the way, and then we'll see what we gotta do. This linkage coming from the gas pedal should all be the same. It's just between the carburetor here and the linkage that I presume should be different. I don't know. Ford things. 6-cylinder pedal geometry is insane. Did notice after I pressure washed this thing, yeah, that's right, I didn't film that because we'll save that for pudding. Look at this cute little brass tag on the side. That must have had something to do with the Ford reman going on. The thing actually cleaned up pretty good. Also, we noticed the water pump bearing is about ready to go south on us. So we got our throttle linkage dialed in. That spring's a little bit stiff, but I think that's what was on the car. Really all I did was there was a couple of bends in this linkage down here. I straightened it out, therefore making it longer, and it pretty much got it straight in line with the bottom of the carburetor. It's a little bit off. And then this clip here that holds it is bent backwards from the way it was, because this pin used to go this way. Now the rod goes that way. So I had to scrounge one of those out of my stash. I also had a carburetor bowl gasket in my stash. Ruined a perfectly good new kit for that gasket, but whatever. Did not have a gasket for the thermostat housing, but got it on there. Did the old farmer fix, stuck a 5/8 bolt into that heater hose, so that should be wrapped up. Hopefully that leak goes away. I don't know, that gasket did not look that bad, but we did have it open before, and those were all tight, so I don't know. So now let's see if we can get that expansion tank stuck back in place and hopefully salvage the hoses that were on it, if we can find them. Getting a little bit closer, eh, Duff? You don't care about this car, do you? Brakes, ugh, I'm dreading that. So we got our expansion tank installed. I couldn't find the bracket for it. That's the sucky part about when you got 19 people running around the shop. I don't know where that would have went, but it's still better than flexi hoses. See how much garbage we got inside the master cylinder. I'm sure it's spotless. Well, really not that bad, actually. No mud down there. So the mud dried out because it's been sitting long enough. Oh yeah. Throw some fluid in it, good to go. I think before I do that, we don't need no stinking rear brake, so I'm gonna go find the junction. I'm guessing it's right here. And we're gonna cap off the line to the rear brake so we can do some big smoky burnouts now that we got our stroker motor. Oh, now I see why it needs that bracket, because you want to lean on it. Now that we got our stroker motor in there, this thing's really gonna boil them tires. So, let's crack that line, plug her off. So we got our finishing nail stuck in the rear brake line. And while I was looking around down there, how did the reservoir bracket end up down there? So we'll stick that on. Let's put some fluid in it. Maybe it'll just gravity bleed to where it needs to go. I doubt it, but that's what all the experts say to do. So we'll see what happens. What is that just floated to the top? Oh, it's a brake fluid cap from many, many moons ago. Definitely not off mine. That's interesting. What's the craziest thing you've found? You find any of these inside of valve covers from oil cans? I've seen a lot of the little tin inserts for the heat, gasoline additive, and fuel tanks. Yeah, that's not a good spot to be. So clearly this thing had a brake problem before they were putting brake fluid in. Imagine that. Maybe that's why they parked it. Brakes. Whatever, check it out. You've been in here before, you know what it's like. So, here's the ignition switch dilemma. Yeah, I know. It don't turn. And I can't imagine that that is the wrong key that would have been in this car. I mean, anything's possible. Let's see if little Croyle alleviates the scenario. What do you think, man? Yeah, I don't think so either, but it's worth a shot. Hey, got it. What are the frickin' odds of that? A little good, lots better. That's frickin' fantastic. Even goes to accessory. Even only kind of sticks in the start position. Oh, this headliner. We should do something about that if it runs. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Okay, well, should we see if we can get an alternator to work? Let's see if the key actually does what it's supposed to. Here, come on, give me some room. Oh, you want it out of there? Yeah, I bet. So, if we hook our battery up, does it crank over? Out of gear. Doesn't crank over. Oh, it's because we don't have the wire hooked up to the starter solenoid. Because we got the loser switch. Which one is it? Are they even here? These little guys?
I wouldn't worry about that little guy.
Which one was it? Ooh, might be a stretch. That looks right. Maybe. You heard it run, so you know it'll go. Nothing. Got them backwards. If you would just crank it over, I wouldn't have to walk back and forth. Still nothing. Oh, well, it's not gonna get power there if we're bypassing all the stuff on the voltage regulator, maybe? I'm gonna do some probing around on some wires. See what I can come up with. See if we get any power anywhere. See what happens. I love diagnosing electrical. Said nobody ever. So you get the old power probe out. If you don't have one of these, this one's a Power Probe 3. These things are sweet. Touch it to a ground, makes this noise. Tells you how many negative volts you got. I don't know, it just says 0. You touch it to a positive, makes that noise. Tells you how many volts you got. Plus you can send power and ground, whatever you're trying to diagnose. Really good. Electronics for dummies. So what I found is there's a black wire, I don't know, like a 12 gauge, 10 gauge, coming off that side of the solenoid. Comes over here, would have been hooked up to the generator. So we hook that up to our alternator, and so our alternator should charge if we can get a signal from the key. And then we need to take this big yellow 10 gauge wire here, 12 gauge probably. We need to make a jumper wire from there to there. That's what powers up the switch. I got my handy dandy roach clip jumper there, so we'll make a new wire for that. And then we'll have to find a wire that's got key power here in order to energize the alternator. We should be good to go. And then maybe if there's any extras, we'll tape them up. That wasn't too bad. And then of course, it took me a little bit to figure it out. Well, not very long, but I had these hooked up backwards, seeing as how I'd switched them around from the first time. But crank's over. I checked, we got 6-ish volts at our coil. So we should have power there. The ballast resistor, wherever it's at on these, under the dash, in line in the wire. I don't know, Ford guys, where's your guys' ballast resistor? It's not mounted on the firewall. So yeah, let's do a little wiring. And man, we're pretty much just down to brakes and put water in it. And maybe make that battery sit where it needs to be. Because we're gonna do some high-speed off-roading in this thing. Oh, fell asleep on me. Such good help you are. Holy crap. It's holding coolant. We don't have a thermostat in it, so I like to gut the thermostat. We just didn't put one in it. And by gutting them, I mean take the center out of them. This is a radiator cap, not a thermostat, but I take the center out of it, so it's just a washer, so it slows the coolant down so that it's got plenty of time to be in the radiator. If you don't have anything in there, it doesn't spend enough time in the radiator, I found, and they get warm. Good thing it's only 92 degrees out today. More than anything, it ain't running out on the floor yet, which between our gasket there and our cobbled together plug heater hose and our used old original hoses that we cut the hourglass ugly clamps off of, well, they weren't hourglass, they were just the regular old band style, but if that doesn't leak and this thing doesn't overheat, I'll be thoroughly impressed. Got the fuel tank moved into the back seat so that Duff's got plenty of room up front. And part of the reason it's back there is because there's a nice hole in the floorboards for it. So hopefully we can get fuel from there up to there. Guess if we have to, we'll find a spot to set a battery where it won't fall through the floor, so we can run the electric pump if we need to. Just camping out. You are a dirty dog. This car is dirty inside. Need pudding here to detail it. Oh yeah. Oh, let's fix that battery. Never mind, not much fix to that. Hopefully it doesn't fall through that gaping hole. It's a good battery cable. It's only the ground and it's tied to the body, so that's awesome. Pick up our loser switch and our excess wiring. And if we get some brakes, we might be ready to go. I'm not really sure yet, but I think we'll be close. Let's see if we can put a little more coolant in there. It's all coming back to me when I replaced that busted up lower control arm. I also snipped off the brake hose, and the brake drums were all stuck. So, yep, brakes. We don't need no stinking brakes. It'll be fine. We got a manual. On a side note, this 14-inch rim on this side is not happy with what's left of the stuck drum, so you don't turn real well. That's gonna do one of two things. It's gonna slow us down. It's kind of like brakes. That's the definition of brakes, right? Except uncommanded. And if we have a heating issue, it's also gonna add to that, all that added drag of the wheel. And I did notice the thermostat housing gasket, of course, is leaking. Should have probably made a gasket, but psh, we don't need no stinking gaskets, do we, Duff? Let's slam this hog on the ground. See if we can't get her to run. Give her a tickle of the old hot sauce. See if I can do a better job than the elf. Oh yeah, way better. Should run for a while on that. What do you think, Duff? This will be the most disgusting car we ever drove, I think. Go wiggle the connections, if you would. No, not your tail. the connections. Fine, I'll do it. The nice part about Fords is they put the ignition switch on the left side, so you can just give her the old reach around. Not bad. I don't think we're getting fuel though. What do you think? Try it again? Okay. I guess we'll put a battery in the back seat for that fuel pump. Seems like a great idea. Just stick the battery back here with a hole in the floor and a tank full of fuel. Should be good. Ooh, I got a resolution for that. I'll put these suckers to use. Maybe that electric pump was putting out too much pressure and that's why that. Yep. Sure enough, where's it leaking? Does look like it's coming out that the bowl. Oh no, it's coming out of the inlet. Son of a biscuit. Wasted a good gasket. Well, that was easy enough. Just tighten that fitting up. Gah. Come those goose didn't notice that night. Wasted a good carb bowl gasket. Gonna be better now? Did that surprise you? Just forward cooling. Wonder if it'll stay running off of just the mechanical pump. All right. Just kidding. Also notice that the clutch is stuck to the floor. Well, that's no good. Why is that stuck to the floor? Can't imagine we screwed it up putting it in. Hopefully I found the issue. So I think what happened when we were trying to do our due diligence and maybe clean up and oil the throwout bearing, it got on the wrong side of the fork, the clutch fork. So I'm hoping I can just unhook the rod here and maybe do some sneaking around in there and get that installed properly, because whoever worked on the throwout bearing didn't install it correctly. Nice work, Alf. I know it was you. You're the only one who fit under the hood. Our coolant leak is not getting any better either. So we're into this son of a biscuit pretty deep here. I pried on all 3 teeth, whatever you call it, fingers on the clutch disc. What is it, a something in Beck, or I don't know. It's not a diaphragm style. All 3 of those fingers are loose. So it's the throwout bearing that is stuck onto the input shaft because nobody cleaned that up before we stuck this engine in. So whatever. Took all 4 bolts out of the tranny. That top one on the driver's side is a real pain. Had to cut the universal joint on the rear end, but I did find out that the rear end is a 380 limited slip because it's got the L380 tag and they both spin the same direction, so pretty sure she's a limited slip. I don't think that fill tank's gonna be any good either. This exhaust ain't bad for how soggy it is under here. So I slid the tranny back, and then with a combination of hammers, chisels, pry bars, I think I got it loose now. So let's tighten it back up and go verify in the car that we have clutch. What a pain. This car is gonna cost us to lose the shop for sure. So I threw some lube on everything, and I think when I was pushing so hard with my foot after adjusting this out, it kind of bent this bracket. So we hooked onto the frame over there, and the old ratchet strap sucked her over to where I think it needs to be. I was rubbing on the inner fender before, causing her to bind up a bit. But I think it feels like we got clutch. It ain't returning real great, and that's why we got the squirrel piss out. Doesn't quite come all the way to the top, but I think it'll come out once we run her a bit, huh, Duffers? Try it out, you say? All right. Hook up the battery cable again. I'm sure these are gonna fall down in there. Never mind that cheater pipe. Wasn't doing anything I shouldn't have been doing with that. This car, I tell you what. Tell you what, Duff. Not gonna grind now, right? Clutch is in. Ugh. You shift it then. Come, hey, give me my hand. I bet the shift linkage. I had it hooked up, but it sounds like it come unhooked, didn't it? I'm gonna go hook up that shift linkage, and then we'll check her again. This door panel. Had enough of you. I like that look better anyway. Kind of got that southwest look. No drive shaft, but I think we should be able to feel if she's going or not. So we try to put it in gear, it should grind, right? I can feel it. Should be able to go from reverse to first if it's hooking up, right? See how it grinds when we go into reverse? Push the clutch in. I think we got a clutch now. High five. High five. Go find a U-bolt. Good boy. Also get that drive shaft slid in. Let's hope the clutch saga is over with. Well, go ahead. Remember, we don't have any brakes. We got a clutch. That wheel over there is dragging real bad, so. Must have been with the big brake option that the Wagons had, this tiny little 14. I was rubbing on the tie rod, or the upper ball joint, and real bad on the brake drum. Probably because the brake drum's supposed to turn with the wheel, and it wasn't on this one. It might have been okay. But this Mopar pickup wheel fits way better. And then we got the great big 235/70 on the right front, you know, for all those cornering capabilities. I'm sure Ford won a lot of races in NASCAR in 1960. You don't believe me? Look it up. Just kidding, I have no idea. Okay, I think we're ready to do this. Let's go see if it's got a posi. The real man way. Two-wheel peels, Duff. Still got coolant in it? Oh yeah. It's really not running as good as it had been before. Whatever. Still gonna send it.
You guys silly? I'm still gonna send it.
So after all the trials and tribulations, let's finally take this 60 Ford out on the road. I hope nobody gets in front of us or behind us, because we ain't stopping. What do you say? Do this. What up? Here we go. Before we go anywhere, this headliner has got to go. Oh! Yeah. I didn't think that was gonna happen. Gross. That's a lot of poop. Over to your side. Come on. Give me some room. Third time's the charm. Slingshot engaged.
Slingshot engaged.
Clean the windshield off. Remember, no brakes. Spin them both. All the way it wants to pull the front wheels, it sure seems like both. Oh yeah! It's definitely a two-wheel peel. I don't know if it's all loaded up or what. It is not. Choke on? Fuel tank off? No. Don't be a wank. Show your tank. She's definitely not plugging away on all six. Steering's tight though. My alignment job on that smashed up left control arm and tie rod seems pretty solid. Synchronized? I bet it ain't. Definitely is not. This thing ran good. All that weight, 380 posi rear, that should go around real good. Dust. Let's get out of here. Don't worry, our fuel tank just slid our battery up against the rear door. Oh, now it's really running like crap. It's vibrating now that it wasn't before. I can't imagine any of the trash in here shifting around. I'm about to lose a tire tread. Hope it's not the fuel line dragging. Oh yeah. It's definitely the fuel pump and the fuel line that's dragging. Guess we forgot to tie that up. Whoops. Oh my gosh. That was the dumbest thing we did all day. Oh boy. I'm just going to hold the fuel pump and fuel line back here. That would have ripped off. We'd have really been SOL. Guess we forgot to tie that up when we were under there. Now, if you want to run back and find the wires and the roach clips. You ready to get out of this thing too? Freedom, he says. Well, there you have it. We just got a 1960 Ford Ranch Wagon. Yes, it does say Ranch Wagon in the back quarter panel. Somebody wanted to argue with me on the trim level of this car, but whatever. It's got Ranch Wagon decals on it. We got this 1960 Ford Ranch Wagon going back on the road for the first time in 39 years with much difficulty. We rip a control arm off, get it on the trailer, had 4 stuck brakes, cut those, had a stuck engine, had a stuck clutch. We persevered, we got this thing going. So hope you guys enjoyed it, because this car, if anything's gonna make us lose the shop, it is this gem. So if you want us to keep the shop, buy this thing. Price is gonna be listed down below. Needs brakes, needs a thermostat gasket, needs a thorough cleaning, needs a right front window, needs a windshield, and some tires. You know, that's pretty much it. Never mind the hissing noise coming from under the hood right now. Probably could use a tune-up carb kit, points, cap, rotor, plugs, wires, that good stuff as well. I appreciate it. If you watched to this point, you guys are the best. Remember, doesn't matter how you get it done, as long as you're having fun. Those donuts, they were pretty fun. The rest of the situation, not so much. Right, Duff? He's over it. Note to self, find a better spot for the battery. And don't let your fuel pump drag down the road. Tore the wires right off. I'm sure it's just fine though. Whoopsies. We might need a fuel pump sponsor. Here's my neighbor that's really annoying, that drives by way too fast, that pisses me off. That guy. Don't be that guy. Duff, hold on, you just stay here, I'll get him. Poor little guys. Must have hung on for the first couple of miles or two.
Poor little guy. Probably kept up with you for a mile or so.
We got him now though. Not even in too bad a shape. Good thing we used the quick release butt connectors.